Hey everyone, welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Intelligence. Now listen closely. Today we start with a startling event that's creating buzz across Iraq's financial world. The Central Bank of Iraq has issued a bold declaration that has captured global attention. A mission to restore the dinar to its prior strength. Those 7 words have sparked intense discussion, fueled excitement, and brought up one critical question. Is Iraq on the verge of its very own Kuwait miracle? For decades, people have awaited signs of the currency's revival, and now on November 6, 2025, that possibility feels more immediate than ever. This narrative, however, is about more than just money. It's about national pride, rebuilding trust, and securing a position in world finance. If the Iraqi dinar truly recovers, it will be more than an economic adjustment. It will be a resurgence of identity and influence. So stay with us, because these developments could reshape not only Iraq's economy, but the future of international markets. For years, the Iraqi dinar has been perceived as a currency lingering in uncertainty, full of potential yet hampered by history. From conflicts to sanctions, from internal rifts to global isolation, Iraq's financial apparatus has faced immense hardships. Yet something is changing on November 6, 2025. The outlook has shifted from a question of if to when. The central bank's recent pronouncement was neither accidental nor merely symbolic. It was calculated. Restore the dinar to its prior strength is more than just patriotic rhetoric. It is a carefully selected phrase that outlines a path for renewal. In Baghdad, economic meetings are increasing, regulations are being reinforced, and reforms are speeding up. For the first time in generations, Iraq's leadership appears unified on one objective: establishing a currency that signifies solidity, not hardship. To grasp why this statement holds such weight, we must recall what prior strength truly represented. Throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, the Iraqi dinar was not only robust, it ranked among the most influential currencies in the entire Middle East. At one time, a single Iraqi dinar was valued at over $3 US. This was no fantasy. It reflected Iraq's dominance in oil, substantial reserves, and a booming economy that positioned Baghdad as a regional powerhouse. But decades of war, punitive measures, and corruption eroded its stability. The currency lost nearly all of its value, and the public's confidence was shattered. Now, as the central bank discusses regaining that value, it is appealing to deep feelings, dignity, nostalgia, and hope for a brighter financial future. The strategy being analyzed by experts is both intriguing and contentious. Some analysts suggest Iraq might first implement what is termed an internal exchange rate. This means adjusting the dinar's value inside the country before announcing the alteration globally. This method allows the central bank to test domestic systems, stabilize prices, and inform its citizens before the global reaction. The concept is not novel. It mirrors Kuwait's playbook following the Gulf War in the early 1990s. Kuwait quietly re-established its dinar's value domestically before making the global move. It was a successful, gradual recovery plan. Could Iraq be pursuing a similar course? Evidence suggests this is quite possible. However, here is where the story gets a contemporary update. Kuwait's revaluation occurred in 1991, an era when information circulated slowly. There was no social media, no instant trading applications, and no immediate leaks. In today's digital age, total secrecy is almost unattainable. The instant Iraq changes its rate domestically, screenshots, bank app updates, and trading platforms would reveal it in moments. So can Iraq genuinely revalue without noise? Experts say silence won't last long. Nevertheless, this does not mean the central bank cannot organize a strategically timed implementation. They could coordinate with the International Monetary Fund, prepare domestic banks, and set the transition stage before announcing it. It wouldn't be covert, but it could be a controlled unveiling. Across the capital of Baghdad, indications of preparation are everywhere. The central bank has been intensifying oversight of currency dealers, stabilizing the dinar's rate against the dollar, and controlling black market fluctuations. These are not arbitrary actions. They are clear indicators of readiness. Concurrently, Iraq is introducing new anti-graft legislation, enhancing its electronic banking infrastructure, and urging citizens to shift from physical cash to digital payments. This digital transition is not merely about modernization. It's about oversight, openness, and establishing the groundwork for a more resilient currency. Every move points toward a single outcome: a nation preparing for a major event. At the same time, Iraq's petroleum and gas sector is booming once more. The nation is a top global oil producer, but it is also progressing towards self-sufficiency in refining and natural gas production. This implies fewer imports, larger financial reserves, and a stronger balance of trade. All these are vital components for a currency rebound. With stable oil prices and rising output, Iraq's economy is gaining momentum to back a potential dinar revaluation. The stronger the underlying economic foundation, the more credible the currency will become. Public sentiment, however, remains split. Reports from inside Iraq reveal a blend of hope and doubt. Many citizens want to believe that circumstances are different this time, that promises will finally materialize. They have previously heard talks of removing zeros, issuing new banknotes, and raising the value, only to be disappointed. Yet today the actions are distinct. The government is not just issuing declarations. It is enacting concrete reforms. This is what is sparking a return of confidence. When people start observing banks modernize, markets stabilize, and incomes strengthen, trust begins to return. The path forward, however, is complicated. Iraq confronts difficult issues ranging from political disputes to regional external pressures. Every action taken by the central bank will be monitored closely, not only by its people but by international investors. A mistake could trigger inflation or speculative behavior. This is why analysts believe Iraq will move cautiously, employing a phased approach instead of a rapid, sudden change. The central bank understands that trust takes time to cultivate and moments to destroy. Behind closed doors, Iraqi officials are reportedly working closely with key global financial entities to confirm readiness. Banking systems are being updated, ATM networks are being tested, and electronic payment systems are being integrated. These steps are not glamorous, but they are crucial. Before any revaluation, the infrastructure must be completely solid. Imagine attempting to introduce a new rate when banks cannot correctly process the change. That would cause disorder. Iraq appears to be mitigating that risk by preparing every component of its financial network in advance. Meanwhile, global investors are observing with increasing curiosity. Over the past few months, several foreign companies have demonstrated renewed interest in Iraqi infrastructure, technology, and energy ventures. These investments bring more than capital. They bring assurance. When international firms recognize progress and political stability, they begin to see Iraq not as a danger, but as an opportunity. And when investment capital begins to flow in, currency strength often follows. A crucial element of Iraq's strategy is the move toward monetary self-determination, regaining complete control over its economy. For decades, Iraq has depended heavily on the US dollar for trade, savings, and even local transactions. The central bank is now reducing this reliance on the dollar, encouraging local businesses and people to use the dinar instead. This action not only reinforces national identity, but also generates domestic demand for the currency itself. The more Iraqis utilize and trust their own money, the more stable and valuable it becomes. Economists highlight another important development: Iraq's attempt to harmonize its official and market exchange rates. For years, a discrepancy existed between the central bank's rate and the rate used on the street. Recently, this difference has significantly narrowed. This signals tighter regulation and improved confidence. When a nation successfully aligns these rates, it establishes a more transparent, predictable marketplace, an essential prerequisite for a credible revaluation. The digital transformation within Iraq's banking sector is also a major catalyst. The central bank's updated policies promote mobile banking, electronic payments, and digital wallets. This modernization decreases fraud, accelerates transactions, and makes economic data more precise. When a country moves toward a digital financial ecosystem, it achieves the control and transparency needed to sustain a stable currency. Iraq is advancing in this direction rapidly, indicating that its long-term strategy extends far beyond a simple rate adjustment. It is about building an entirely new economic foundation. Despite the widespread optimism, not all observers are convinced. Critics argue that Iraq's persistent structural issues such as graft, slow bureaucracy, and political meddling still represent considerable obstacles. They warn that unless these issues are entirely resolved, a revaluation could lead to brief excitement but long-term instability. Nevertheless, even these skeptics concede that the current leadership's dedication to reform is stronger than it has been in many years. The fact that Iraq's central bank speaks confidently about returning to strength suggests that the groundwork may finally be complete. As we progress into November 6, 2025, the momentum continues to gather. Every new policy, every subsequent announcement seems to indicate the same outcome. Whether it is better transparency, new investment regulations, or stricter currency control, Iraq is operating like a nation preparing for a major economic shift. The question is not simply whether the dinar will appreciate, it is when and how substantially. Will it be a gradual ascent or a sudden move that surprises the world? If Iraq succeeds, it could achieve one of modern history's most remarkable economic turnarounds. Consider the implications. A currency once dismissed as unstable, now standing strong among the world's most powerful. This would not only change Iraq's economy, but also redefine how global investors view post-conflict nations. It would prove that with dedication, reform, and a clear vision, even a country marked by war can achieve prosperity. There is also the human element to this story. Beyond numbers and exchange rates are millions of Iraqis who yearn for a better existence. A stronger dinar could mean greater purchasing power, more stable costs, and renewed trust in the financial system. It could also mean higher international regard and pride in a nation long defined by conflict. For many citizens, this transcends simple economics. It's about dignity. Of course, remaining cautious is essential. A revaluation executed too hastily or without adequate preparation could cause confusion, price spikes, or even panic. That is why the central bank's measured approach is so important. Every statement, every update appears to prioritize stability over speed. They are committed to the long-term strategy, which may be the wisest course of action. So is Iraq truly on the threshold of its next Kuwait moment? All indications suggest that something extraordinary is taking shape. But unlike Kuwait's covert action decades ago, Iraq's transformation will likely unfold openly, one measured step at a time. In today's interconnected world, openness and coordination are paramount. The central bank is aware that the entire globe is observing. Ultimately, Iraq's success will hinge on a single factor: trust. Trust from citizens who must once again believe in their currency. Trust from investors who need to see Iraq as secure and reliable. And trust from the global community that Iraq is prepared to rejoin the world financial stage. If these three elements align, the dinar could indeed recover its prior value, not as a hope, but as an established fact. For the present, one thing is certain: Iraq is progressing with resolve. The necessary elements are falling into place. Whether the next major announcement arrives next month or next year, the forward momentum is undeniable. The promise of recovery is real. And if the central bank fulfills its mission, the world may soon witness a financial recovery that will resonate far beyond Iraq's borders. So, as this narrative unfolds, one question remains for all of us watching. Are we witnessing the revitalization of the Iraqi dinar, or the creation of the most significant financial recovery in the Middle East since Kuwait's own historical comeback? Keep watching, because the answer may very well shape the decade to come. Hello everyone, welcome back to Iraqi Dinar News Updates. Now pay close attention. Today's information is critical. What we are discussing could completely alter your understanding of Iraq's currency and its future trajectory. We are deeply examining Iraq's 10-year strategic plan, a blueprint that insiders claim quietly confirms the country is preparing systematically for the long-anticipated dinar revaluation. This is not guesswork or sensationalism. This is a structured timeline, and every action Iraq is currently taking points toward one conclusion: global acceptance and financial self-sufficiency. So find a seat, stay with me until the end, because by the time we finish you will comprehend why analysts believe November 6, 2025 could mark the most significant financial turning point Iraq has seen in decades. The 10-year strategic plan is not simply another government project or economic projection document. It is a national blueprint intended to redefine Iraq's position in the global economy. Every component of this plan, from its banking system enhancements to its trade expansion and digital overhaul, is connected to one core goal: building a stable, independent economy capable of competing internationally. Iraq's leaders recognize they cannot achieve this with a suppressed or restricted currency. For Iraq to advance, the dinar must be capable of global trading, and that is precisely what this strategic plan prepares the ground for. Not just growth, but a controlled, well-scheduled currency transformation. Let's dissect the actual contents of this 10-year strategic plan. The first and most essential element centers on banking system upgrades. Iraq has been completely revamping its banking network, training personnel, updating financial software, boosting security, and establishing connections with global payment systems. The objective here is clear: to ensure Iraq's banking infrastructure is ready for international commerce. A revalued or globally recognized currency cannot be introduced if the current systems cannot manage the traffic. These upgrades form the foundation of what is imminent. They guarantee that Iraq's banks can process cross-border payments, handle digital currencies, and integrate with world markets instantly. Now, this is where the situation becomes particularly compelling. Iraq's move toward digital restructuring. The country is deploying digital banking services, online payment platforms, and even implementing digital identification integration. This might sound technical, but here is its significance. Digital systems are the bedrock of immediate global trade. If a nation desires its currency to circulate freely across borders, it requires rapid, secure, and traceable systems. Iraq's acceleration toward digital finance is more than simple modernization. It is preparation. Every system improvement they enact is a step closer to being able to activate the transition to a fully recognized, globalized currency. The subsequent vital component of the strategy is economic diversification. For many years, Iraq's economy has relied overwhelmingly on oil exports. But the strategic plan is changing this reality. The country is actively investing in agriculture, tourism, electricity generation, logistics, and manufacturing. This initiative spreads Iraq's economic base, making it more resilient and appealing to global investors. And here is the essential link. A diverse economy necessitates a strong, dependable currency. Without this, international trade and investment become risky propositions. Thus, as Iraq expands into new sectors, they are simultaneously reinforcing the financial base, which implies a stable and potentially revalued dinar. Another significant facet of Iraq's plan is its expansion of international trade. Iraq has been strengthening ties with nations such as the United States, China, the UAE, and European Union member states. They have been negotiating partnerships and trade agreements that will boost exports and attract foreign capital. And central to all of this is one condition: currency acceptability. Iraq cannot fully integrate with global trade mechanisms or join critical bodies like the World Trade Organization until its currency is globally tradable. That is why this 10-year plan includes WTO membership as a crucial target, a signal that Iraq is positioning the dinar for the global arena. One of the clearest indicators that something major is developing stems from the quiet actions of the Central Bank of Iraq. In recent months, there has been an escalation of private meetings, internal training sessions, and system updates. These are not random activities. They are all related to exchange rate preparedness. Multiple sources have suggested that the central bank is already testing transactions using new dinar values, not publicly available yet, but used internally for system validation and staff instruction. Think about that for a moment. You do not train for a marathon unless you intend to run it. Iraq's central bank is not merely practicing, they are preparing for activation. Financial analysts monitoring the situation point to November 6, 2025, as a potential convergence moment where Iraq's economic reforms, trade agreements, and fiscal policies all align. The country's forthcoming national budget even contains provisions described as exchange rate adjustment flexibility. This is the official terminology for possible rate changes. Such a phrase is not included in a national budget unless a significant change is anticipated. It suggests Iraq is establishing the necessary foundation for revaluation readiness, not suddenly, but through planned, sequenced steps that adhere to their strategic plan's timetable. Let's discuss Iraq's foreign currency reserves because this provides one of the most reliable measures of economic health. The central bank has confirmed that reserves have climbed past the $120 billion mark, a historic high for Iraq. This level of reserve strength builds investor confidence, stabilizes price inflation, and provides the government with the financial capacity to support a more valuable currency. They have also initiated the settlement of more contracts in the dinar instead of the US dollar, a deliberate step that lessens dependence on foreign currency. All of this indicates one major development: Iraq is progressively regaining sovereignty over its financial identity. Now, some skeptics might question if this is all merely talk. But when you examine the tangible actions, Ignoring the speculation, it is clear Iraq is not standing still. Its government is stable, international alliances are expanding, and infrastructure projects are underway across the nation. In fact, recent economic conferences have stressed monetary autonomy and financial independence, terms that analysts recognize as early signals of currency transition phases. Iraq's strategy appears calm on the surface, but beneath it is extremely well calculated. Observers have noted that Iraq's pattern of communication often follows a cycle, a period of official quietness followed by bursts of formal announcements. Whenever this occurs, it typically precedes major policy shifts. Therefore, if Iraq suddenly enters another quiet period in the coming months, do not be surprised. This is often when the most important decisions are finalized out of public view. Once the silence is broken, you can expect news related to banking improvements, monetary reforms, or trade agreements. That is the predictable pattern of progress we have observed repeatedly. To put this into proper context, Iraq's movement toward a stronger dinar is not about chasing speculation or rumors. It is about synchronization, aligning financial systems, international partners, and national objectives around a clear, structured framework. This 10-year plan provides that necessary structure. Each year introduces another layer of preparedness, and November 6, 2025 appears to be the moment where multiple critical targets converge. Banking self-reliance, WTO accession, fiscal improvements, and global digital integration. It resembles watching puzzle pieces deliberately lock into their correct positions. Let's take a broader view. Iraq's history has been characterized by decades of conflict, sanctions, and instability. But this strategic plan marks a turning point, a shift from mere survival to calculated strategy. The focus is no longer solely on rebuilding, but on transformation. The leadership is investing in education, technology, and international partnerships. They are positioning Iraq as a future economic anchor in the Middle East. And that is why global investors, governments, and financial institutions are quietly monitoring every step Iraq takes. So what are the implications of all this for dinar holders worldwide? It means that, for the first time in years, the story is more than just theory. The required steps are evident. The progress is quantifiable. Iraq's advancement is not founded on promises. It is founded on official policy. If they maintain this trajectory, then a revaluation, or at least a significant exchange rate alteration, becomes not only possible, but the logical next step. This is not a fanciful dream scenario. It is a structured shift supported by tangible economic expansion and robust planning. When Iraq's new exchange rate eventually becomes public, it will not be a drawn-out affair. Currency revaluations typically occur quickly once all preparations are complete. The groundwork we are witnessing now, training, digital banking, budget adjustments, all points toward a state of readiness. And once that transition is triggered, the world could experience a ripple effect. Iraq's move could affect global trade balances, investment flows, and even the regional financial hierarchy. That is why this story is significant far beyond Iraq's boundaries. Now, as we move into November 6, 2025, be alert for specific signals. Watch for formal announcements regarding digital banking upgrades. Those will be early indicators. Track WTO discussions concerning Iraq's membership status. Pay attention to budget updates that mention flexibility in exchange rates. And most importantly, listen when Iraqi officials speak about financial independence or currency sovereignty. When those terms start appearing together frequently in the news, it usually suggests that something major is imminent. To be perfectly clear, no one can accurately predict a specific date, and any credible analyst will confirm this fact. However, the current alignment between government policy, central bank actions, and international cooperation demonstrates undeniable progress. Iraq is no longer waiting for external approval. The world is preparing to deal with Iraq as a legitimate economic player, and once that recognition is formalized, the dinar's authentic value will finally begin to emerge. Therefore, the key insight today is not a date or a rumor. It is the realization that Iraq's 10-year strategic plan validates that every significant step required for currency reform is currently in progress, from modernization to diversification, from trade expansion to financial self-sufficiency. It is all part of one coordinated effort. Iraq is no longer simply reacting to global events. It is directing them. And that is a powerful position to hold as the nation approaches the next stage of its economic transformation. If you have been following the dinar journey for years, this is the time to pay meticulous attention. Everything Iraq has been working on, quietly, patiently, deliberately, is now converging. The 10-year plan is not just about rebuilding a nation. It is about presenting Iraq to the world as a modern, self-sustaining economic participant. And when that happens, the effects will be felt across global markets, currencies, and investment landscapes. So stay informed, remain patient, and above all, maintain hope, because the story of the Iraqi dinar is no longer a question of if, it is a question of when. The groundwork has been established, the systems are prepared, the world is watching, and November 6, 2025 may very well be the year we see the switch activated. Thank you for tuning in to Iraqi Dinar News Updates. If you found this detailed analysis useful, please hit the like button so more people can see the truth behind the headlines. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe Iraq's 10-year plan will finally achieve global recognition for the dinar this year? Your input is valuable. Do not forget to subscribe because the story is not finished yet. It is only beginning.